Welcome to my board game QuickStart guide for Takenoko. This is the second video wherein I discuss the rules of the game. Takenoko is a competitive game about the struggle between a gardener and a panda in feudal Japan. Once upon a time, the Chinese emperor gave a giant panda to the Japanese emperor as a gift. It's your job to take care of it while keeping everybody happy. You score points by meeting the conditions on the cards in your hand. The end of the game is triggered when any player has scored a certain number of cards, based on the number of players in the game. You take 2 actions on your turn, chosen from 5 options. These actions must be different. They're represented by 5 symbols on your playmat. You can use the turn markers to keep track of which action you've already taken. The first type of action you can take is to draw new plots. When you draw plots, you take 3 tiles from the top of the stack and look at them. Select one of them and return the other 2 to the bottom of the stack. Then place the plot on the board within certain guidelines. A new plot must border either the central pawn tile or at least 2 other tiles. For example, if the board is set up like this, I'm allowed to place a new tile here, adjacent to the center, or here next to 2 other tiles. I'm not allowed to place it here, where it only borders 1 tile. Plots come in 3 different colors. Green is the most common, followed by yellow and pink. The color determines which color of bamboo will grow on that plot. When a plot is placed, if it's irrigated, a section of bamboo immediately grows on it. I'll discuss irrigation in the next section. The second type of action you can take on your turn is to take an irrigation channel from the reserve and place it on your playmat. You can hold on to the irrigation channel for as long as you want, and placing it can be done for free at any time during your turn. When you place an irrigation channel, it must connect to either the central pawn tile or to an existing irrigation channel. Plots need to be irrigated to do anything useful. Plots are irrigated if they border the central pawn tile or are bordered by an irrigation channel. Touching the corner of the plot doesn't count. When a plot is irrigated for the first time, a single section of bamboo is placed on it. Tiles which aren't irrigated can't grow bamboo and can't be used to score objective cards until they are irrigated. The third type of action you can take in your turn is to move the gardener. When you move the gardener, he may travel any number of spaces in a straight line. For example, he can be moved from here to here because it's a straight line, but he can't move from here to here. He can cross and stop on the central pawn tile, but he can't cross gaps in the map. If the gardener stops on an irrigated tile, a section of bamboo grows there. Bamboo also grows on any adjacent irrigated tiles of the same color. When you move the gardener, he must actually move. He can't just stay in one place and grow the same bamboo again. Bamboo has a maximum height of 4 sections, and each plot can only have a single stalk. The fourth type of action you can take is to move the panda. The panda moves according to the same rules that the gardener does, moving in a straight line for any distance. If the panda stops his movement on a tile which has bamboo, the panda eats a single section of bamboo. You will take that piece and place it on your playmat. The final type of action you can take is to draw a new objective card. You can draw the card from any of the 3 stacks. You do have a hand limit of 5 objective cards, and the only way to get cards out of your hand is to score them. I'll cover scoring soon. After you've taken your second action, you can end your turn and the player to your left takes their turn. Some of the plots come with improvement markers. These slightly change the way that the gardener and the panda interact with them. The watershed symbol means that the plot is always irrigated. This doesn't help adjacent plots, and all irrigation must still come from the central pawn tile. The fertilizer symbol means that whenever a section of bamboo grows there, 2 will grow instead. This includes the bamboo that grows when it's first irrigated. The enclosure symbol is a panda-proof fence, meaning that the panda can't eat the bamboo on that plot, although he can still stop there. You score points by claiming objectives. This can be done at any time in your turn and does not count as an action. When you claim an objective, place it face up in front of you on the table. You can claim multiple objectives at once. It's important that everybody know how many objectives have been scored, as this is what triggers the end of the game. There are 3 types of objectives. Panda objectives can be claimed if you have collected the bamboo shown on the card. You return the bamboo sections to the bank when you claim this objective. The gardener objectives can be claimed if the garden contains bamboo that matches the configuration on the card. Note that some cards require the bamboo to be on a hex that contains a certain type of improvement or no improvement at all. For example, this card calls for a stalk of green bamboo that's 4 sections tall on a hex with no improvements. There's one on the board, so I'll be able to claim this card on my turn. Also note that some call for bamboo that's only 3 sections tall. Bamboo that's grown to 4 sections doesn't count for this card. For example, this card calls for 2 stalks of pink bamboo, which are both 3 sections tall. If I move the gardener, I can create this condition and score the card. Plot objectives can be claimed if the configuration of plots on the card also exists on the board. All of the plots must be irrigated to count. For example, this card calls for 2 green and 2 pink plots in a specific configuration. That configuration exists on the board, but I'll have to irrigate the pink plot before I can claim the card. You will also have to deal with the weather. Starting with the second turn, you will roll the weather die at the start of each of your turns. This die will change the way your turn happens. The symbols in the die can also be found on your playmat and are as follows. The sun. You can take a third action on your turn, but it still has to be different from your other 2 actions. Rain. The rain causes a single section of bamboo to grow on an irrigated plot of your choice. 2 will grow if the plot is fertilized. Wind. The wind allows you to take 2 identical actions on this turn, but it's not mandatory. Lightning. The lightning scares the panda. You can place the panda on any plot you want to, ignoring the normal panda movement rules. If that plot has bamboo and doesn't have a panda-proof fence, the panda will then eat a section of bamboo, which you'll place on your map. This does not count as one of your 2 actions. Clouds. The clouds allow you to take an improvement tile from the reserve and place it on your playmat. Like the irrigation channel, you can place the improvement tile for free at any time during your turn, but it can only be placed on a tile which does not already have any kind of improvement on it. Question mark. The question mark allows you to choose from one of the other weather conditions. The end of the game is triggered when any player has claimed a certain number of objectives. This number varies by the number of players in the game. In a 4-player game, any player claiming their 7th objective ends the game. In a 3-player game, it takes 8 objectives, and in a 2-player game, the 9th objective triggers the end of the game. When the end of the game has been triggered, the player who triggers the end of the game gets the special Emperor card, and each other player gets 1 final turn. Then it's time for the final scoring. At the end of the game, each player adds up the value of the objectives they claimed. The player with the highest score wins. In case of a tie, the player with the most points on Panda objective cards wins. This has been a Board Game QuickStart guide for Takenoko. Refer to your manual for additional information and clarification, and don't forget that the most important rule is to have fun.